Hey, welcome to Real News for Kids. I'm Julian Goldstein. Now, have you ever seen a can of tuna like this? Of course you have. But have you ever seen this little symbol right here?
How would you like a giant slingshot to fling you over the ocean?
Spirits are flying high for women military pilots. That's because of a history-making decision. I'll tell you all about it later when I go on a mission with a woman pilot. Okay, we've talked about several different homes today, and here's one more. Home plate. How'd you like to meet one of baseball's biggest superstars? You ever get a gift and you just didn't have a clue of what to do with it? Like, take this for example. It looks like an ice cream cone, but no, it's not. Check out this week's What The. Whoa. Hey Jen, do you know horseback riding can help improve balance, muscle control, and coordination? In fact, horses are being used to help people who've been paralyzed, who are mentally retarded or otherwise disabled. This blanket, this carpet, and even this jacket, they were all made from recycling plastic bottles. Some animals, like Sigmund here, you'd probably never see unless you went to zoos or aquariums. But some people don't think that's right. Some people don't believe that wild animals should be kept in cages. As you can see, there's lots of hands-on ways for kids to get involved with learning about the environment. But right now, it's hands-off that remote control. And then wham! Once the credit's used up, the TV shuts off. There were a lot of promises made by the candidates about what they're going to do when and if they become elected. Now we just have to hope that it wasn't all a bunch of hot air. Who do you think won the debate?
What do you think I thought won the debate? I thought my dad won the debate.
And your dad is?
George Bush.
I'm with Geraldine Ferraro. She ran for vice president not too long ago.
Yes, I'm hearing from all the people here who told me that when they were in fourth grade they voted for me.
So who do you think won the debate tonight?
Oh, it's not I think. I know who won the debate tonight. It's Democrat Clinton, obviously.
News for kids? Why should the kids care about the election?
Hey, come on, we just spent an hour and a half telling you.
Kids aren't voting, but why should this election be important to the children?
Remember what it was like 4 years ago? Kids going to bed at night worried about nuclear war. Dramatic change. You didn't hear one word about that up there.
Governor Clinton, why should kids care about the election? Why should kids care, Governor?
Because this country is in trouble, we got to turn it around, and your future is at stake. You have more at stake than we do.
That helicopter is carrying George Bush out of Washington and into life as the next president. Experts say that every night there's over 100,000 kids in America that don't have homes of their own to go to. You know, Jen, that means that if you filled up every single seat here in Veterans Stadium with homeless children, you'd still have 35,000 kids waiting to get in. Janelle's little brother, Franklin, says kids tease him about living in a shelter, so sometimes he pretends he doesn't. Do you try to tell the kids sometimes that you don't live here, or what do you say to them?
I don't live here.
Where do you tell them you live?
At home.
Tell them you have a house? Is that hard? So the other kids, are they real mean about it, or are there other homeless kids in your classroom? You're the only one? If you could have any wish in the whole world, what would you wish for?
A house.
Are you aware that you have Alzheimer's? Do you know what that means?
Yes.
Can you help some of our viewers understand what that is?
I don't know about that.
Do you notice a change in yourself?
Yes.
Simon is just like any other 16-year-old, active, into sports, but the heart beating inside of him he got from somebody else. What kind of change happens when you realize that you're that close to facing death?
Well, I mean, I think you really realize what life is about. You also, after something like this, you really take care of your body. You realize what your body is and, how beautiful it is. I mean, I used to smoke, and I look at myself now and I say, my God, that was one of the most idiotic things I could have ever done. I was sitting there, I was putting these disgusting chemicals into my body, and I knew that I was killing myself.
As you can see, Simon has more than a new heart. He's got a new and healthier lifestyle and a special relationship with his parents. The whole family is closer than ever these days.
If I had to, I'd have torn my own heart out of my body and given it to him.
The only outward sign of his close call is a narrow scar running down his chest. But like Simon says, it's what's inside that counts.
Now I notice everything, I notice the trees, I notice the leaves, You know, I notice the snow, I notice, you know, when it's hot, cold. I mean, I take all that stuff, you know, and I enjoy it.
She has understood that she is innocent in all of this, that she should not blame herself, that the person who should be ashamed and who should be punished is the man who sexually abused her.
I can guarantee you there's a little kid sitting right there who's at home, who's being abused right now, who knows this is going on in their life, who's going through this. What can you say to that little kid?
If it's happening to you, or it has happened to you, to tell someone.
It's called snowboarding, and it's reaching new heights. But as I found out, snowboarding has become more than a sport. It's an attitude with its own look and lingo.
It falls right into our Southern California surf, skate, snowboard attitude of living life, and it's a lifestyle that a lot of these guys can relate to, and that's why they get into it.
Snowboarders have their own look. The grunge look is really big. Plaid shirts, funky hats, baggy pants, anything goes.
Blue hair, nose rings, whatever you got. Backside, blindside, melon, revert.
And they even have their own lingo.
Big air. Blindside, when you're not looking, you're going just like this, falling backwards, then you just land it fakey. That's blindside.
While you try and figure out what they just said, I'm going to try and figure out how the snowboard thing works for myself.
Snowboarding can be a blast, and they say it's a lot easier to learn than skiing. But there's a lot of skiers out there who wish they weren't sharing the slopes with snowboarders. Jacob's getting treated for asthma.
Feels like a little prickly sensation?
Yeah, it does.
Does it hurt?
No.
Jacob's father turned to alternative medicine because he thinks lots of drugs are just too strong for kids. So they tried herbal medicine, you know, medicine made from herbs. And then they tried electroacupuncture. It may sound crazy, but lots of people are trying it. A study found that 34%, that's 1 out of 3 Americans, used at least one form of alternative therapy in 1990.
This is a huge ship, but there's a lot to cram on board. So everything's crowded and built for battle, no frills.
When a kid comes straight out of high school, from living with mom and dad in their cushy room, onto this ship, what's their reaction?
Well, it's certainly a culture shock.
This is one phenomenal ship, but don't be fooled. It's not the Love Boat. People on board have serious, sometimes dangerous jobs, and they know that if there's a war somewhere, they could end up right smack in the middle of it.
Okay. Hi, Gary. How are you doing today?
This is Oliver Stone, director, writer, Academy Award winner. And while you might not recognize him, you've probably heard of his movies.
A movie opens up the subject. The key to understanding is to understand everything.
Oliver Stone's films often aim to educate, not merely entertain. They expose moviegoers to a new point of view and encourage us to re-examine history.
You know my feelings about, Lee Harvey Oswald, and I still see in history books that he is acknowledged as the sole assassin of President Kennedy. Of course, that was never proven in court.
Now, we're through the looking glass here, people. White is black, and black is white.
People got to know. In one of his most controversial films, JFK, Stone attempts to expose a part of U.S. history that many people would prefer remain unchallenged.
I never once ever said to any audience, go see this movie, believe it, and trust it as the final say. Some people would have us believe that it was a random accident, but I urge students to explore the patterns of events. What was Kennedy doing that was different in 1963 that he had not done in 1961 and 1962? And that has always been denied and ignored by the let's call it the establishment media.